Hello everyone. Thank you for participating in today's webinar with us. This is Ayushi Arya. I would like to welcome to the Google Developer Student Club of NIT Delhi's first ever webinar. Before we begin, I would like to express my gratitude to the faculty in charge of our club, Dr. Chandra Prakash and Dr. Manoj Kumawat for guiding us and allowing us to pursue our goals. The Google Developer Student Club is a program that aims to help students to improve their technical abilities and skills so that they may develop solutions and solve real world problems for local businesses and communities. The purpose is to assist students in gaining technological knowledge. It is open for students of all levels of development from beginners to experts. Now, I would like to formally introduce the club members. Mr. APS Manideep leads our GDSC team, which is followed by the project management team, which is led by Rishikesh Anand, the creative team, which is led by Jeremy Joseph, the marketing team, which is led by Ritik Mihindarata, and the event management team, which is led by Kartik Nair. So, our guest for today is Mr. Rajat Garg, a software engineer at Microsoft who has also worked on the projects such as development of PowerPoint mobile web app and etc. He used to coach IT engineers to help them realize their full potential. He graduated from our college with a bachelor's degree in engineering in 2019. So, our topic for today is system design for beginners, design Netflix. Designing systems at scale is among the most important skills one will need to advance in their tech career. System design is one of the most important and feared aspects of the software engineering. Any market-ready product must be designed using system design knowledge. So before we get started, let's do some housekeeping. Please type any questions that you have into the chat box during the presentation. At the end, there will be an opportunity for those questions. Now, I turn the platform over to Mr. Rajat Garg.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. I guess we had a huge team from marketing to event management uh, to a lot of things. We are also looking for people. So if you are free, definitely let me know. And it will be great. But yeah, we will start off. So as Ayushi has mentioned, system design is one of the most important skill when you actually start working in an actual industry and you actually start working on real life projects, right? So to give you an example, let me share my screen. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah. And able to see me right over the screen as well?
Yes, sir.
Great. So today's topic, as I talk about, is design Netflix at scale. As I was talking about, let's say you are working on a college project, right? All of us work at college projects. When we are working at college projects, we are designing some project, right? Let's say we are designing something. We design it for, let's say, 10 people or 15 people or 100 people. What happens when you actually want to design it for millions of people or millions of customers? Or let's say even huge, let's say billions of customers. That whatever you are designing is going to be used by millions or billions of customers is when there are a lot of challenges that arise. How do you solve this challenge is a study that is known as system design and is one of the most important skills when you actually work at a big organization. Because let's say you're working at any big organization, let's say Microsoft, Google, like any, like Ola, Uber, uh, any good product based company, it is your responsibility that their systems will be able to scale from these 100 people to millions of customers. And if you fail to do so, then that business will not survive. Let's say Ola, right? Let's say Ola cannot book thousands, like at single point of time, there are thousands of people which are booking cab. If you're not able to handle that, then Ola cannot survive. You cannot book a cab, let's say, when you are getting errors again and again. That is why system design is very important, and that is what we want to learn by taking an example of designing Netflix. Right? So this is the basic agenda for today's session, is to learn how to design systems at scale using one example of designing Netflix. Does this make sense? Can you quickly type yes if this makes sense till now? Yes. In case you have any questions, let me know. And maybe Manideep, you can read it out, because like again, I am very familiar with Zoom, but not that much with. Uh,
Yeah, sure. I'll help you, sir.
so to give you more agenda of what we are going to discuss today, we will start off with designing something known as MVP, which is known as a minimum viable product. We will learn about it. It's one of the most important thing when you are actually going to do product development, right? After this, we will talk about scale estimation. How much storage we need? What should be the queries per second? Again, I will talk about all these terms, but we will talk about how much storage it will need to store all the movies that Netflix has. How many queries we are going to get per second, so that we have to incorporate that, right? Then we will talk about our design goals, which is again very important. We will talk about, is latency important for us? What about CAP theorem? We will discuss all these terms again, right? Don't worry if you are unfamiliar with some of them, right? The fourth point we will do is we will talk about what are the APIs that we need to support in order to build a system like Netflix. And then we are finally going to design the system. And then we will talk about coding. So coding comes at the end. And college, we do coding at the beginning, but it comes at the end when you are actually working at a company. And we will learn all of this while designing it. Makes sense, right? Feel free to let me know if you have any doubt. Quickly type yes if this makes sense, and then let's start off. Yeah. Great. Let's take step one. Again, we are designing Netflix. Let's take step one, which is designing MVP, which is known as minimum viable product. What is a minimum viable product? Can you tell me when Facebook started? Do you remember when Facebook started off? I was in my class 10th, and one of my friend Prashant told me about Facebook, that you can make an account on Facebook, but I did not make it. I was skeptical about it. I usually have that mobile phone, right? That keypad mobile phone, which was like kind of open like up. Do you remember what was Facebook? It was a very simple application where there is just, you can send some connect request to people, right? There can be a friend and you can send a connect request. You cannot even talk to them. You can just see their profile. This was Facebook in the starting. This was the Facebook that we know now is not what was built in the starting. That is known as a minimum viable product. It is not possible to build the whole Netflix in the starting itself. What you do is you come up with a minimum set of features, which we known as version 0 features. The most essential features which are required. You work on those features, deliver them to the audience. Once you deliver them to the audience, you get feedback. You work on more features, right? That is how you go on designing product development. So that is what is known as minimum viable product. Got the understanding what is MVP? MVP is set of features which we are going to build as part of version 0. Make sense? Can you quickly type yes if this makes sense? What is a minimum viable product? Okay. Great. That is great. So now tell me, can we design Netflix in this 2 hour of session or like 1.5 hour session? Can we design the whole Netflix? No, right? Can you tell to me what are all the things which are included in Netflix? So let me start with one. You can stream videos on Netflix, right? It's a video streaming application. What else? What else is present as part of Netflix? Give me some features which are part of subscriptions, right? Subscriptions are also one to many, right? One account can have multiple people who watch. Anything else that is coming to your mind? Rating and reviews, right? Rating and reviews, recommendations. You are right. It is a recommendation system. There is a recommendation system. What else? What else? Advertisements are there. User history is there. Multiple people can watch a movie together. So there is something known as Netflix party. Right? So these are some of the securities, of course, as part of it, right? There are multiple features which are part of Netflix. We cannot design all of them in this 1 hour. And when Netflix would have started, it would not have all the features, right? Maybe it did not have this recommendation system that it has right now. It would have started from one thing, right? And that is what we have to understand first. What we are building, designing Netflix, I cannot solve design Netflix. I can solve that I want to design a video streaming application, right? Let's say this is what I am designing. I am also designing subscription, but not one to many. One account will have one subscription. Like one account will have one user, right? So there is a one-to-one mapping between users and subscription. Ratings and review. Let's say I am designing ratings and review. Recommendation system itself is a very huge system when you talk in terms of a scale of Netflix. So we are not going to design a recommendation system. Advertisements itself is a huge system, which is again a discussion of its own. And when Netflix would have started, it would not have a advertisement system, right? So we are not designing it. User history, let's say we are designing user history. Netflix party, again, multiple people able to watch movies together is again another system. We will not design it at this point of time. Security, yes, we will include security. Security does not actually change the high level perspective of a design. It's just add some more layer, like more layer on top of it so that it is more secure. But does this make sense that we are designing Netflix? Now the thing is that we are designing Netflix which support streaming of videos, subscription, one-on-one subscription model, ratings and review, and user history. Does this make sense that what we are designing? Can you quickly type yes if this makes sense? If there is any doubt, let me know. I can help you answer those. So do you get the importance of what is actually the importance of MVP? If I did not know this is what I am designing, I don't know what I am designing, right? So whenever a question is posed to me, I have to come up and ask questions of what actually I am designing. Let's say you are in an interview or you are actually working in a company. You will ask this question from your product manager or from your manager that what do you mean by designing this? Am I designing this? Is this also part of this part of the whole prospect? Is this also part of it? Is this also part of the scope of the whole project? And you will get yes, no's, and you will have a discussion and come up with the final design. This is the whole work of a project manager, right? This is what they do their MBA for. But this itself comes from a lot of research based on user research, right? You do a lot of user research to come up with the MVP and not like anything that you can do. Okay? And this is a work of basically a product manager. Make sense? Step one makes sense? If that is good, then let's move to the second thing, which is step two is scale estimation. Let's actually talk about at what scale actually Netflix work at, right? So let's talk about storage. You know storage, right? For example, you are storing a movie in your hard disk that takes up some space. Now Netflix would have a lot of movies, so that will take up some space in their computers or in their servers, wherever they are located. That is what we want to estimate. So can you tell me the number of movies Netflix have? Total number of movies Netflix has. Netflix is not YouTube, right? YouTube has, like, anyone can come and upload to YouTube, but Netflix, that is no, right? Netflix upload the videos itself. So how many videos do you think, or how many movies do you think Netflix has? Any estimation, whatever you think of. 10,000, okay. Good estimation. Anything else? Again, these are estimations. 20,000. Yeah. Anyone else want to give up some estimations? 50,000, that is too much. 1,500. Yeah. So Umang is right. So Netflix, in actual data, Netflix has around 15,000 movies. Right. Again, have a discussion with your product manager. If you think 10,000, your product manager will tell you that there are around 10,000 movies. We are going to support 10,000 or 20,000 movies in the future, and that is what you should make the sure. Okay, so this is the number of movies. What do you think is the average duration of each movie? Is it 2 hour, 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 1.45, 2 hours? Average duration, right? There might be some movies which there might be some, let's say, serials or series which are just 30 minutes long. There might be some movies which are 2 hours long, might be 3 hours long, right? Can be Lord of Rings, which is very huge. So let's take 1.5 hours, right? Let's take 1.5 hours. That there is average duration of 1.5 hours. Okay. What do you think is the size of the movie? Size of the movie of each movie? Again, on an average, right? First thing, there can be multiple sizes, right? There can be 480p, there can be 720p, there can be 1080p, there can be 4K, right? There can be different dimensions. Let's say for the sake of simplicity, I will take that there is only two things: SD, standard dimension, and HD, right? I will take these two. So what do you think for each movie on an average, what will be the SD size? Any suggestion? Or like per hour, let's say per hour. 1 GB is very less. Let's take it 10 GB per hour, right? This is 10 GB per hour, right? And this HD is, let's say, 20 GB per hour. So these are per hour, it will cost to around 10 GB, and then per hour 20 GB it will cost to for this. Then with this data, can I find the total storage of all the movies? It will be, there are 15,000 movies, right? And then each movie is of 1.5 hour long, and we are storing for each movie 30 GB of data per hour. Make sense? You can do this calculation. Let's do this calculation pretty quickly. So it is 15,000 into 30. This will become actually 4.5. So it will become 45 GB, right? And then you can do this 45 into 15. Can someone do it pretty quickly? What is 45 into 15? Let me do it. 675,000, right? This much GB of memory. Make sense? So which comes out to be 675 terabyte of memory. Does this make sense? That Netflix, the total size it will take for Netflix to store all the movies will be around 675 terabytes. So for ease of calculation, let's take it 700 terabyte of memory. Is it a very huge memory? Is it very huge? Is it normal? Is it like thik-thak? So in terms of scalability, it is not very huge. It is not very less, right? Like suppose if you would be designing YouTube, let's say we were designing something like YouTube, you can just think of how much storage there would be. It would be too much huge. It would be much greater than 700 terabyte, right? Let's say you are designing Google Drive. It would be much more, like it would be very huge as compared to 700 terabyte. But 700 terabyte is also pretty decent. It's not very less that you can store it into one computer. You cannot store it in one server. You will need multiple servers to store it, but not very huge. Okay. What else you are storing in the database? Can you tell me what else you are storing? User data, right? So you are also storing some user data. Right? You will also store user data. You will also store movie metadata. What do I mean by movie metadata? For each movie, you will store some metadata. right? Like for example, let's say you will store subtitles, you will store what is the name, what is the description, what is the cast, who are the actors, who are the actress, right? And some other information. You will store these information as well with respect to each movie. Let's say all of this accounts to, uh, let's say 1 MB of storage, right? Let's say all of this accounts to 1 MB and you have around 15,000 movies. So this will come out to be 15,000 MB, which will come out to be around 15 GB, which is nothing as compared to this, right? So you can neglect this kind of storage. This is very less. Make sense? So that's why I'm neglecting. But user data will not be very less, right? Because what is the reason behind it? There would be much more users. So what do you think? What will be the total number of users Netflix has? How many users Netflix has? What do you think? $1 billion is too much. 100 million, yeah, something like that. Right? So yeah, so number of users Netflix has is around 200 million. That is the number of users that actually Netflix has. Right? Let's also talk about, if these are the number of users, what is the lifetime value of these users? What do I mean by lifetime value of the user is, let's say I join Netflix today, for how many years I am going to watch Netflix? That is what I am asking. Right? So let's say I joined at the age of 25. Till what age I will watch Netflix? On an average, again, this is on an average. Some people may unsubscribe within 1 month. Some may unsubscribe within 2 months. Some may take to like 30, 40 years. Some may come out after 10 years. So let's take it as 20 years. Do you get the value? What is the meaning of the lifetime value of the of the user? Right? And can you tell me number of movies? Again, on an average, each subscribed user is watching in a month. Right? So in a month, how many movies a user is watching on an average? 5 to 10. Yeah, let's take 10 movies per month. Not all of us are college students, so we cannot watch like the whole series, like the whole time just watching movies, right? So that is how much, let's say 10 movies per day, right? So how many total number of movies you have? Again, as we talked about, we have around 15,000 movies, right? But let's talk about total movies a user will watch in his or her lifetime. So how many movies he is watching in his or her lifetime? He is watching around, there are 20 years. So there are 10 movies he is watching in each month. There is 12 months in a year. And then there are 20 years that you are taking in as a lifetime value. So this will come out to be 2400 movies. Make sense? Then this is for one user in his lifetime is watching 2400 movies. Then total number of users are 200 million. Right? So now let's calculate the or let's come to this later on, but let's calculate user data with each user. So what is the type of information you are storing for each user? Are you storing his name? Maybe let's say I would say his profile info, which consists of his name, his description, his gender, right? What else? Profile photo, maybe some kind of this information. Birth date, definitely. This is something that we are storing. Device ID, yeah, those are all metadata. Definitely, we are storing device ID, which is logged in. Plus, you are watching, plus, you are storing data related to each movie. For example, uh, let's say I am watching a movie on Netflix. Let's say I watched Money Heist, right? Then there would be some information that I am storing. For example, how many series I have watched, or where did I pause in a movie, where did I resume in the movie, did I like this movie, did I send a review regarding this movie, how much I like this movie, right? Those kind of things you will also store with respect to each movie that you are watching, right? You will store this information as well. Can you type yes if this is clear? If it starts becoming complex, let me know. uh, right? So per user data, how much memory you are storing per user. Profile info is one thing, right? So let's say the whole profile info is something like 1 KB, or let's say it is 10 KB. So you are just storing name, some description, some gender, some profile photo, some birth, some device ID. All of them are just text, right? So it is just 10 KB of information. Plus, you will store information related to user for all the movies he has watched. So again, you have for each user, one user had watched 2400 movies, right? So on an average, one user has watched 2400 movies into how much storage you are storing for each movie, right? Let's say for each movie you are storing something like 10 KB. Then this is the storage that you are storing for each user, which will come out to be 10 KB. Plus, if you do this calculation, it will come out to be this much KB, right? Which will come out to be 10 KB plus 24 megabyte. Make sense? I will do an estimation. Let's say it is 25 megabyte. This is for each user. This is for one user. Now, how many users you have? You have 200 million users. And for each user, you are storing 25 megabyte. So total user data is this much. Make sense? It will come out to be 50 megabyte. This will come out to be 50,000 megabyte into million. What is this? So what is a million? Million is 10 raised to the power 6, which you can write as 10 raised to the power 3 into 10 raised to the power 3. 1000 megabyte will be GB. 1000 GB will be terabyte. Make sense? Does this make sense? So this will come out to be 5000 terabyte, which will come out to be 5 petabyte of memory of user data. Is it huge? Is this huge? Yeah, this is huge. This is good. This is huge amount of memory. Right? So again, as I was saying, before you actually start coding something, you do these estimations when you are actually working in a company, right? You cannot just design something like, can your college project store 5 petabyte of user information? No, right? You have to first think about how can you store 5 petabyte of user information. So as part of memory, what we talked about, or as part of, I would say, a good word is storage. As part of storage, what we talked about is that we are actually storing two type of storage. One is movie data, like movie, which is what was the movie data? Do you remember what it comes out to be? Around 700 terabyte, right? So it was around 700 terabyte of storage. And when it comes to user data, it is around 5 petabyte of. Does this make sense? Can you quickly type yes if these calculations make sense? these are very important to do, right? Like very, 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 very important to do when you actually start designing systems at scale. Otherwise, you can't design. So this was about storage. Let's also talk about QPS. What is QPS? QPS is queries per second. Is there anyone who don't know what is a queries per second? I will go into it if you don't know about it. Is there anyone who don't know what is a query per second? Everyone knows, right? Okay. So query is basically a read and write, right? Let's say this is a machine, you are sending it a request of read, then that is a query. You are asking it to write something, that is a query. How many queries are happening per second is something that is known as QPS. Very important to know how many number of machines you are actually going to use, right? So again, how many total number of users there were? There were 200 million users. What do you think at one point of time, how many percentage of users would be watching Netflix at one point of time? What do you think? 1 to 2%. I would say just tell percentage, right? How many percentage of users will be watching? And I am like saying at peak time. We always think about peak time. Let's say Money Heist is just released. Right? Let's say Money Heist is released just now, and everyone is crazy about Money Heist. Then there would be more people who are watching it. 30% is too much. There is around 5% of user will be watching at a time, right? At this point of time, 5% of users are surfing Netflix. So how many total users there are, which are active users, which are making read and write queries, which are making read queries? What is a read? I am telling Netflix to give me the movie. That is a read. So what is 5% of 200 million? Right? It will be around 10 million. So do you understand that at one single point of time, Netflix would be getting 10 million read queries? Like the QPS is 10 million. Do you know how big is 10 million? Like, matlab, this is at the scale you have to design the system, right? And that is what we will design actually. So don't worry, we will actually design it, right? So you have a read QPS of 10 million. So you should have servers which can handle 10 million reads happening at one single point of time, right? What about writes? What is a write? Write is basically, let's say I liked a movie. Let's say I closed down the movie. I was watching Money Heist, then I am like tired. I closed down a movie, or I paused down a movie. So Netflix would send this information to their server, right? So that the next time I am watching Money Heist, Netflix can reopen the movie from the same point where I left. Make sense? So all these are the kind of information that comes under write. So can I say that I can delay writes? Will you be mad? Let's say you are watching Money Heist, and you close Money Heist at 50 50 minutes 55 seconds. However, when you reopen Netflix, it opens you from 59:50 seconds. Will you be mad about it? That Netflix did not tell you for one, right? You will not be mad about it. So what I'm saying is you can delay the writes. What you can do, you can club a lot of writes and send to the server at single point, right? So what you can do is I will keep on storing writes in my local storage, right? So basically my cache. So I will store all the writes which are happening in my browser cache, and after some point of time, let's say after every 5 minutes, I will send all these writes to the server. This will help me reduce the number of writes to the server. Does this make sense? Can you quickly type yes? So the major thing here is read. So this is a read heavy system. Make sense? Everyone clear with this? Should we move to step 3? So as part of scale estimations, we talked about storage. We talked about,
Yeah, we have a doubt here, sir.
yeah.
If after closing the app we force stop it, will it still get the right info?
If you force stop it, right? So whatever, let's say this was, let's say you were at 50, 55. Already the information, let's say I am watching the movie, right? So Netflix is capturing where I am with respect to the movie. After 49:55, after 49:50, it will send a information to the server that Rajat has watched the movie till 49:50. At 50:55, you close down your app, and you don't just close down it, you just like crash, like you just force stop it, so that no background processes are also running for this app. Then this information is lost. Is it fine to lose this information? Yes. There is no, like, I don't see any disadvantage. But is it fine to lose the information in case of a payment? Let's say I am making payment to Manideep. Can it happen that my money is deducted, but Manideep does not get the money? In that case, losing information is important. So there are different systems, right? In this, I am fine with losing information. In this, I am not fine with losing information, and my design is going to change based on these criteria.
We have
Make
another
sense?
doubt. We have a small doubt here. Why send this information to server? Why can't we store this locally?
So let's say you are in browser, right? So there are two things. One is cache is not in under your control. There are two reasons for it. The first biggest reason is that you want to power your recommendation system with this. You had a recommendation system at Netflix. How, from where it will get the data, right? It would be a machine learning engine, right? It will get some data. How will it get the data? How will you know that I am liking Money Heist? If I skip Money Heist at 1 minute, then I am not liking Money Heist. However, if I stay till 10 episodes, I am liking Money Heist. So this is the one reason that this data will power their recommendation systems to give you more recommended movies, right? And recommendation engine is like the core of the business for YouTube. Recommendation system is a core. If you don't get good movies, if you don't get good videos to watch on your home page or in your watch later section, you will skip, you will close YouTube, right? So it is very important to for recommendation system. Second thing, no one wants to lose any information, right? Personally, from a business standpoint, as much information as you can get, you will get it, right? Everyone wants it. Even like, for example, for us at Boss Coder Academy, let's say we have not figured out what to do with this information. We still want that information, that maybe in future we will know what to do with this information. So everyone wants more data, right? Data is very powerful. Third thing is cache is in the hand of user. You can delete your cache. Just go to settings, remove all the cache, right? And removing all the cache, do all the information that what are the movies you have watched should be lost. Will you be happy about it? No, right? You will not be happy about it. So it is important to store all this information on the server. Make sense? I will take more doubts later on now, so that we make good progress inside the whole lecture, and then at the end you can ask as much as you want. But does this make sense till now? Everyone clear that why did we do scale estimation? Why is it very important? Why can't you design a system without knowing these things? These are very important, right? Great. Great. So let's move to step 3 then, which was design goals. What are design goals? What do you want? Like, let's talk about latency. Do anyone know what is a latency? Do anyone want to unmute themselves and tell about what is latency? Maybe.
So the time required from sending the request and receiving the data.
Yeah, right. So let's say this is the client. It sends the request to the server. this sense, this say ki, give me the movie Money Heist, then how much time it is taking? Like when you click on Money Heist, there will be a loading screen, and then the movie will start on. So how much time it is taking for this to start on is known as latency. What do you want? Do you want latency to be low, or you want it to be high? Low means less time, high means more time. You want low, right? You want low latency. You absolutely want low latency. Like, it's the core of, these are our design goals. We have to keep these in mind when we are designing system, that we want low latency. Again, in case of payments, do you want low latency? It can take time, right? I am not in hurry. Payments take time. In case of emails, are you in hurry? It may take time. No one is in hurry. In case of notifications, can notification take 10 seconds to be sent? Right? Everyone is fine with that. So their latency can be high. There are systems where latency can be high. There are systems where you need latency to be low. In case of Netflix, you want low latency. Make sense? What about CAP theorem? Do anyone know what is a CAP theorem? Anyone who know what is a CAP theorem? No. So CAP theorem actually stands off from three words, which is consistency, availability, and partition tolerance. Okay. And what CAP theorem says is that in a distributed system, yeah, Manideep is right. Manideep would have learned it in the class. Yeah. So in any distributed system, what is a distributed system? Any system which have two or more servers is known as a distributed system. In any distributed system, you can only have two out of these three. You cannot have all three of them. You can either have consistency and availability, consistency and partition tolerance, or availability and partition tolerance. And partition tolerance is a must when you are designing a distributed system. Does this make sense? Does this simple definition make sense? I will not go into detail. Just remember that what we are designing in any distributed system, you need two out of these three. You cannot have all of them. Partition tolerance is a must. Like, it is definitely a must. You need partition tolerance. So you have to decide whether you want consistency or you want availability. What is availability? As the name suggests, is your system available, right? Yeah, does this happen to you that you are watching Netflix and Netflix says that my servers are not available, I cannot show you movies? Does that happens to you? Right? Sometimes, right? Sometimes it happens, but do you want it to happen? No, right? For a system like Netflix, you don't want that to happen, right? So you want high availability. This is known as high availability. Again, do payments fail? Do sometimes whenever you are doing UPI, do your State Bank of India, like, do your bank says that the bank servers are not available very frequently? Do you get this message when you are doing UPIs? Why? Because those systems are designed to come under, to have more consistency rather than availability, right? Right? For example, your UPI payments, those are classic examples of consistency. Every 5 payment out of 1, every 5th payment will show you that your bank server is not available. But in Netflix, that will not happen. Most of the times, it will not happen. Right? So you are doing for high availability. What is consistency? Giving you a simple example, let's say I posted something on Instagram. This is Rajat, posted something on Instagram, and there are these likes, right? Let's say Manideep is here, and let's say Vaibhav is here. When Manideep see this post, both of them see the post at the same point of time. However, when Manideep sees this post, he sees that there are 49 likes. Whereas when Vaibhav sees this post, he sees there are 53 likes. Will they be mad about it, that they are not seeing the equal amount of likes? right? They will not be mad about it. This is known as non-consistency. What does consistency means? That both of them should see the actual number of likes there is. That means your data is consistent. You are not passing different data to everyone, right? Do payments are made for consistency? Yes, right? Chat messages are made for consistency? Yes, right? Because there it is very important. So in case of Netflix, you will choose high availability. So as part of design goals, you will choose high availability, and you will choose again low latency. Does this make sense? Can you quickly type yes if this makes sense? Okay. You guys are with me, right? So this is great. So this was step 3. Let's talk about step 4. What was step 4? What are the APIs we need? Also, what are the APIs we need? We definitely need one API which is known as stream videos. Right? We definitely need this. We also need something which do like upload videos. These are some of the major APIs you need to support. Right? If you talk about how to design these APIs, is something that is covered under low-level design. If you would have heard of, very important for your interviews as a college placements. People now started asking about low-level design. Very important, but how do you design an API? Is covered under low-level. Makes sense? So now, if I tell you a question, so now we have done bunch of things, right? We have spent around 1 hour, and now the question has scoped down to that you want to design Netflix which support upload videos, stream videos, right? At the scale of storage, we talked about it, right? And at the pass of QPS, we talked about it. Keeping in mind the design goals of low latency, availability, and partition tolerance. Now, does this make sense? Like what we did is, this thing comes from step 4, which itself comes from step 1. If we would have scoped down the problem to actually creating a recommendation system, we would have a different API here. So this step 4 itself comes from step 1. Storage, and this comes from step 2, our scale estimation we did, right? And this comes from our step 3 of the design goals. So now the question is whether you are working in a company, like literally I'm telling you this is how people things are solved in a company, or whether you are in an interview and ask a question about system design. This is what the interviewer is asking you rather than design Netflix. Interviewer asked you this question, design Netflix, or you are given this problem, design Netflix, as part of your company, but you have to come up with the actual question. The actual question is, I want to design Netflix which support these APIs, which comes from step 4, which itself comes from step 1, at the scale of storage and QPS discussed in step 2, keeping in mind the design goals discussed in step 3. Does this make sense? Let me actually come up with a better question that I can answer this question. I cannot answer design Netflix. I literally cannot answer design Netflix. But this is something I can answer. Can you quickly type yes if this makes sense? And then we will actually start designing this. Okay. Okay. Great. Make sense? Great. So let's move to step 5. which is known as actually designing system. Before designing, can you tell me what is the bandwidth that Netflix has to support? For example, we talked about that there were total users as 200 million, right? And at peak, 5% of users are active, which means 10 million users, right? If these are 10 million users, then what does it mean by 10 million users? We also talked about that we are let's say all of them are watching HD movies, then they are streaming videos at 20 GB per hour, right? So then what is the bandwidth that we are supporting? 10 million into 20 GB, which will come out to be 200 GB into million, right? This is per hour. So what is bandwidth per second? This is 200 GB into million is 10 raised to the power 6 per second. What is a second? 60 into 6. Hour is a 60 minute into 60 seconds, right? Can you do this calculation quickly for me? This will come out to be this 2 into, let's say this is 100,000 into 10 raised to the power 3 by 6 into 6. Right? So it will come out here to be 3, maybe 3, and this will come out to be 100. This will become as 9. I'm assuming 9 as 10, so this will become as 50. So this will become 50 into 10 raised to the power 3 GB. Does this make sense that we have to support a bandwidth of 50 terabyte per second? Do you know what is a bandwidth? Bandwidth is what is my internet speed, right? Or at what speed I am sending packets, right? Let's say someone is asking me for packets, at what speed I am sending packets. Now, does this make sense, right? Like this is the bandwidth that we want to support. Again, like this is very, very huge. Like this is very 50 terabyte of, I have to send packets of size 50 terabyte per second from Netflix servers, like very huge. So let's start. So let's say this is the client. What happens when you type netflix.com? Where does the first request goes to? Let's say in the browser you type netflix.com. What happens? DNS, right? It goes to a DNS server, right? It actually goes to a DNS. What is a DNS server? DNS server is known as domain network service. Domain network server. What is a domain network server? You know that every computer, every computer on the internet has an IP address, right? So DNS is actually a mapping. It's kind of a hash map. You can think of it as a hash map, which takes in a domain, let's say netflix.com, and provides you the IP address of the machine which is hosting netflix.com. Let's say you type bosscoderacademy.com, right? Then our services are hosted on a laptop, which will give you the IP address of this. So if you have created any website, you would know that you have to set up DNS, right? On your domain provider. Make sense? So it goes to the DNS, gets the IP address of something known as a load balancer, which is kind of a router which route the request. Now there will be multiple servers to support this. Make sense? You have a read heavy system. So there will be multiple servers which are going to support this, and then you are going to store data in the storage boxes. Does this make sense? Can you quickly type yes if this makes sense? Like we will broaden it out, but does this make sense essentially, like in the beginning? Right? Then the request will go to one of the basically one of the app servers, and then it will go to these basically storage boxes. Return here, return there. However, we have a very high bandwidth, right? So we use something like we have a very high bandwidth, right? So these will not be able to support it. Why I am saying this? Let's say why I am saying this is, let's say I am in India, or let's say I am in Delhi. If you go to AWS, you will see that for Indian region, there is a data center on Mumbai, right? On AWS. If you go over it, right? So now if I am watching movie of Netflix, I have to make a call from Delhi to Mumbai to get the packets of information. And then it will return it to Delhi. Is this a very huge distance? Like this is a huge distance. So as the distance increases between the 2 point where you are sending packets, what increases? Latency increases. What do you want? Low latency. Right? Does this make sense? Or is it like hard to understand? I am trying my best to not use a lot of work so that you are still able to understand it, because there is a lot of prerequisite in understanding some of these things, but you are able to understand, right? We want low latency. So what we will do it is, we will actually use something known as CDNs, which is known as Content Delivery Network. And these are very powerful. How do you watch Hotstar? Like you watch Hotstar, right? When there is IPL, let's say IPL is going on, a lot of people at a single point of time is watching Hotstar. How is it possible? Right? Is it possible because of the magic of CDN and the power of CDN? Right? So a very important topic. Let's discuss like what actually happens. So the problem is, the prime problem is that I am in Delhi. I have to get the data from Mumbai. Can I do this? That I don't have to go to Mumbai. I can just get the data from Delhi itself. If this happens, will I be very happy? Right? So I will be very happy, right? I will be that I am directly getting the movie from Delhi. Again, like remember, the bandwidth was very high. Right? Always remember the bandwidth was very high, right? What was the bandwidth? If I like quickly remember it, it was in some terabyte. It was 50 terabytes per second. The bandwidth was 50 terabyte per second. Remember, it is very high, right? So we will come to it why this is very important. But this is important. Right now we are solving this high read issue, but we have to solve this as well. Right? So now what will happen? If I get the data from Delhi, that would be very good, right? Let's say I am in J&K and I directly get the data from J&K. That is very good. That is where actually CDNs come into picture. So what do CDNs do is, CDNs are something known as Content Delivery Network. And these are actually network of small servers spread across the world. Okay. So there will be a lot of servers. Like say there will be a lot of servers in Asia. There will be a lot of servers in Africa, in India, right? In basically Europe, USA. These are a network of servers, which these are small servers, but these are very close to the actual client, right? So what actually happens is, let's say I'm in Delhi. Let's say the server is located in Mumbai. This is like the Netflix server. But what happens is, whenever I am getting the information, let's say this is the user one, there comes a CDN here, which is located in Delhi itself. Let's say this is user one, this is user two, and these are multiple users which are watching the movie. The user one will go to the CDN, ask, do you have this movie? Can I watch this movie? The CDN will say, I don't have this movie. So it will go to the Mumbai data center, which is known as Origin, and get this movie and store it with us and cache it, and then serve this to user one. However, when the user two and other users are going to the CDN, they directly get the movie, right? They directly get the movie from the CDN, which is located in Delhi itself, and it does not have to go to the Origin, right? Does not have to go to Mumbai. Does this make sense? That what is actually a CDN? Can you type yes if this makes sense? Right? But now CDN solve this issue of low latency. How long does the CDN's cache remove? So you can define it. You define the expiry of the CDN, right? So you can define it based on multiple factors. Like say the relevancy, that a movie has come out, so just define its expiry to be very high, right? And I will give you an example of it. Just give me some time, and I will give you an example of it. But the second important thing is actually the bandwidth was very high. So bandwidth was 80 terabyte per second, like 50 terabyte per second. So now I have to have multiple point of presence inside CDNs. What do I mean by this? If this is the CDN, I have multiple servers at a location, right? Let's say, makes sense? So I have to have multiple servers inside CDN. So CDN is one broad term, which is a set of networks, set of servers distributed across the world. Then it itself has regions. Let's say it has India region, Asia Pacific region, Europe region, and this region and that region. It itself has regions. And then it have multiple data centers. Let's say this is Asia, right? Then there are multiple data servers. Let's say one is in Delhi, one is in this, one is in that. There are a lot of places where the regions are, and then there are multiple point of presence. Does this make sense? That how CDN is actually helping something like Netflix to actually help it to give very low latency and very high bandwidth, because now there is not one server which is handling the request, or there is not like 10-20 servers. There are these thousands of small point of presence. There will be like these thousands of point of presence which is sending packets of information to different users, right? And that is how they are able to handle high bandwidth and able to handle low latency. Does this make sense? Does this make sense? And to give you a real life example, like I can give you a real life example of this. Give me 1 minute. Let me give you a real time example of this. Let me open. Give me 1 minute just. Let me open Instagram. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Let's say this is a photo, right? So how do these photos are served? Let's say, let's go to their source basically. Let me share my whole screen. Maybe that could help in this. So this is the link, right? This is the link I get from here, the source of this image. Now, can you see this? That there is some URL. What is this URL? If you see, this is a URL of FP CDN. Facebook would have created its own CDN, right? So this is a link of Facebook CDN. So if you copy paste it, so this image itself is serving from a CDN. It is not serving from the Facebook normal servers or normal data centers. It is served from CDN so that they can show you these very quickly, right? So that all of these can be shown very quickly because CDNs gives very low latency, right? Does this make sense? Right? So now if I show you some, diagram, then how the diagram would look like, that this is a client. This will go to the DNS server, which will get the IP address, goes to something known as a load balancer, which acts as a router. Again, what is a load balancer? There can be a whole lecture on top of it. Don't want to go it. There will be multiple app servers. There will be multiple storage boxes. Then there will be CDN, right? Then there will be CDN. So how it will go? It will go to the load balancer, get to the app server. It will share the CDN URL, and it will go to the client. CDN URL. It will go to the DNS, get the IP address of the CDN, goes to the CDN. If the information, if the movie is present in the CDN, it will return it. Otherwise, it will go to the origin. Fetch it, store it into the CDN, and then return it to the user. And then there will be something known as video upload, right? There will be a video upload box, which is again a different microservice which might be working on, which actually takes in some movie, replicate it to CDN, and replicate it to storage boxes. Does the overall architecture make sense? Like this is how the things will look like, right? Now this was again like the beginning of system design. There are multiple questions we did not answer, like what will happen if a data center goes down? What will happen? What will happen if a storage box, let's say if this storage box stores the movie Money Heist. Let's say in this storage box Money Heist is stored, and somehow this storage box goes down, right? Something happens, right? A mouse cut the storage. This machine is turned off or something. This was a question that can happen. There will be different microservices to handle it. What are microservices and how are they working here to handle it? So there are multiple questions itself to answer this question. But yeah, again, as this was more kind of a beginner friendly, I will not go into details. But if I quickly summarize everything, then what we learned is that before coding a problem, there is a lot of things that you do which comes before coding. When you design systems for millions or billions of users, those are first you come up with an MVP, a minimum viable product. Then you come up with, after MVP, you come up with scale estimation, decide what is the storage, what is the QPS. Third, you talk about what are your design goals, and we talked about, for us, low latency matters, and what about CAP theorem. Fourth, you will talk about what are the APIs which we need, and then you talk about what are the design deep dive. Then you go into the design deep dive. We talked about bandwidth, we talked about CDNs, we talked about multiple servers, and all of those things. Once you are done with this, now the coding part, please. Does this make sense? Can you quickly type yes if this makes sense? Yeah, so this is what I wanted to give you a flavor of system design in this class, and that is what I think I wanted to give you, and this is what I wanted to discuss today as part of this lecture. Any questions or anything related to like anything, either college placements, how to drive placements, how to work on something, or anything else, and I can help you answer those. Anything you want to ask of. How was the session? Any feedback? Did you learn something new today?
So it was very helpful in starting any new project. So it's become very difficult to start a project when we decide to do a new project. It's very difficult to set a goal and like usually start with coding, but this was the first time somebody told to first map out our steps, then start the coding part at the later stage.
Yeah, yes, you are right. There is a lot of thing that happens before coding. So in a company, coding is the most easiest part. You can easily code something, but what to code, how to code it is most important. Yeah, thanks to coordinators for having this webinar. Yes, there is a lot to more explore more in terms of system design. But again, problem solving in DS and Algo is the most important thing. So definitely don't leave there. Yeah, anything else you want to discuss? I will stay here for 2-3 minutes in case you want to ask something. Feel free to ask it.
We have a doubt here, sir. Is there any free web hosting where we could host a PHP website and also have Python installed on server?
I think there was. Did you try DigitalOcean? I guess we tried DigitalOcean some days back to host one of our services. But you can use AWS. AWS is free for the first 1 year, and there is a lot of power in terms of free time. Use AWS, that is very good. Anything else you guys want to ask? Again, feel free to connect me if you have like any doubts after this session. Feel free to connect me here or connect me here, connect me on this email ID or connect me over my phone number. I will just ping them here. Feel free to WhatsApp me if you have any doubts regarding anything. Yeah. Okay then. Anything else, Manideep, you want me to cover or
It's
should
fine.
I?
Sir. It's fine if you have something to add. It's up to you as the speakers.
तो कुछ क्लोजिंग है कि कोई क्लोजिंग देगा मुझको या कोई क्लोजिंग नहीं दोगे?
Yeah. Are you sure?
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you, sir, for accepting our request and for your precious guidance. It really helped us to brush up the basic concepts on system design. Thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, then thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.